It'll be a monster week in the equity markets this week with 5 of the biggest companies in the world reporting their earnings. We're talking Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, Meta. It's going to move the markets, but you'll read a lot about that in the regular press. I want to talk about gold and silver, who are going in just as an important week as these big tech stocks. I'll have some charts for you that you need to know if you're invested in gold and silver. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into it. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Mine sucked in a little bit of ways because Arizona State lost, but other ways were fantastic. This is the gold chart on the daily. What are we seeing? Well, first off, we're seeing the most important information that I've been telling you for weeks now, and that is, as long as the uptrend that started in August is still intact, everything is fine. But you will also see we are getting awfully close to this trend line. In this daily chart, you can clearly see next week, this week that's starting today, that's going to be a siding week. All right, we're going to see, is the trend line holding? Are we turning back to the upside on gold? Or are we breaking the trend line? And that will be a real issue. And what makes this even more interesting is when we step out, remember the old wisdom of technical analysis, when in doubt, step out, and we look at gold from the weekly. And that shows us a really interesting situation. Take a look at this. As you can see, we have not only the first red candle, the long red weekly candle. You can ignore the small red candle like far to the right because that is Monday. The important one is the last one, the long red candle after the long green candle. So 2, 4, 6, 8. We had 9 up weeks in a row. On the 10th week, we get a red candle. Now, nothing unusual. We have seen this obviously in the past, but here's the thing. We're seeing this now after a blow off top. And please pay attention to the wicks. They are not huge, but they're pretty long. And if you look, let me zoom in for you a little bit so you can see this a little better. If you look at the candles of the past weeks in gold, and you can see, with the exception of one candle in the middle of July, we can basically chuck that one up as random volatility. We have not had 1 week with 2 long wicks. Basically, all weeks have ended either at the top of the candle or near the top, meaning there was buying all the way till the end of the trading week. We have to go all the way back to May here, where we had 2 long wicks in a span of 3 weeks, which were signaling in April, May, that the uptrend had come to an end. And I'm talking obviously to this uptrend that started basically in January, got us all the way up at 3,500. You might remember this. These last 2 weeks, blow off top trading. Candle, this is a this is a very great bearish doji candle, right? Long wick, then another long wick 2 weeks later, and here we were in the sideways band that we were in for about 4 months. And if you remember, if you watch this channel, and you know that I remembered quite early, would break out in August and September, which is exactly what happened. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, please do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button. It takes you 1 second so you don't miss a video and you are informed what's going on in the market. So now we have 2 fairly long wicks compared to what we have seen literally in the past. Let's calculate it out. September, August, July, June, May. So almost in the past half year, we never had 2 wicks like this back to back. That tells us something. This is an important information that you can only really see if you zoom out and look at the weeklies. Why is this important? Well, it shows us there may be a change in buying behavior in the market. Clearly, these wicks tell us that people are not willing to buy gold over, where are we here, like 42.50? Yeah, about 42.50. Which, if you remember, I predicted that this breakout right here to new all-time highs and the breakout out of the consolidation zone would get us to my target zone of about 4,200 to 4,300, I think it was. And again, if you missed that video, you could have known this month ago. I literally predicted that, I think, in July and August. Now I got plenty wrong, got that one pretty right. So hit the subscribe button so you're informed. But now this becomes very critical. Why is this so important? Well, because of the uptrend. As you can see, we're gonna test the uptrend this week in gold and in silver as well. We break this uptrend, there will be more selling pressure coming in the precious metals, especially, and here is where we bring this thing full circle, if the big tech earnings are good and the outlook is good and we get a risk on behavior in the markets. If gold then is starting to weaken, a lot of speculative money is going to flow out of the gold market. Also, I expect another margin call event coming up if we drop below 4,000. So pay close attention to the tech markets, but pay very close attention to what's happening this week in gold. I would not try to outsmart the market. That rarely works. And take it from someone that lost money doing that, trying to be smarter than the market, by basically trying to front run patterns that would develop and then don't develop. Let it play out. We're talking here about the weekly. We're talking about an uptrend that has been in place for over 2 months. It's okay to be a fast second here. Now, let's take a look at silver real quick, and then I want to jump to a different, well, commodity you can definitely not call it, but we'll get to that in a second. So silver futures right here, same situation. We're right at the uptrend, right? Contrary to gold, we tested the uptrend already in the past week and it was successfully defended. Here we have a different situation with the wicks. It's interesting. We also see though that we have a lower high and a lower low. So that is also something that hasn't happened in quite a while. Something that we need to pay close attention to. Now, let me jump to a chart. And we're going to talk about this some more coming up for sure. And that is the digital gold. Let's talk about Bitcoin, which had an excellent week. because it defended the lower end of the sideways range and bounced off. Why is this important for us? Well, first off, because I've been predicting that we're going to get higher Bitcoin prices. So far, I have not been right about this. I have not been wrong because we haven't broken down, but I've not been right about this so far. However, Bitcoin, digital gold, get it? That's why we put this in this video. But what's really important is that the cryptos are a risk-on asset. And the more we go out to the curve of the altcoins and the meme coins, obviously the more riskier and speculative it gets. So if the cryptos start to move this week, and that's why you should pay attention to a lot of the altcoins, not only Bitcoins this week. If they start to catch a bid, that is another sign that we might get a risk on behavior coming back into the market. It is important to know that October is running out. Remember, October, when we have a strong summer, not September is the bad month of the year. It is actually October, which wasn't that terrible of a month. It had high volatility, but so far so good. Now we're getting into November and December, and those months are usually really strong. And they are specifically strong for Bitcoin. And we're going to end with this chart, but I want you guys to see it because this is what we are here at Hot Trades of Today. We are predicting things when people are not looking. We're trying to find the opportunities that not everybody's talking about. Look at this. 2023, 2024. The big move in Bitcoin of the whole year happened basically between October and I think this is March, right? Yeah. So basically between October, you see it right here, mid of October to mid-March. Last year, look at this, nothing happened for the whole summer, fall, and then beginning of October all the way to about the end of January. That's when Bitcoin made its big move. So we are now obviously coming into this yellow window for 2025, 2026. We have this consolidation, the blue consolidation that you see in Bitcoin that has been going on for a while. Super annoying for a lot of the Bitcoin investors and traders like me. But what's really happening here is Bitcoin is gaining strength. Bitcoin is gaining strength and could be getting ready to line up for a big move upwards. And that would make complete sense with what I just talked about. Stronger period, year-end rally in the stock market coming up. Again, if the tech earnings are positive, if the outlook is positive, if the market likes what it hears, and the cryptos start to move, that's our sign that the risk on is back in the market, and that then could again be the reason why gold will sell off. So keep this in mind. Keep in mind this week, big week for gold. We're going to follow it closely here on Hot Trades of Today. So again, subscribe so you don't miss these videos. We're also going to talk about a couple other commodities. Copper looks excellent. Oil, interesting. We've been talking about this, and we're going to pay a close eye on nat gas as well. Have a great start to the week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.